Good morning. Welcome to the new Humor, Grace, and Grief with Deb and Jill. Deb will be here in about 25 minutes as she's supposed to be. This is a brand new technology for us. We chose to add on a program that allows us to do the live piece with a split screen without any of the craziness that Facebook was creating. So when she comes on, we're going to be side by side in our own little studio space, and it's being imported into Facebook. By next week, I should have it figured out enough that we should be able to go onto Instagram and YouTube Live and probably one other program live because, we can't get enough of ourselves. So we figure you can't either, right? So we missed last week. We missed last week because we needed a chance to get things figured out because last week was also part of the High Holy Days. Hey, Diane. How are you, Dee Dee? It's good. I'm good. I'm recovering. And part of the reason that we were not on last week is because I was out having some surgical procedures done, and now I am back. And it is time to do all the things. So we are half an hour early. I will say that again. And Deb won't be on for another 24 or 23 minutes or so to do the regular shtick. I just wanted to make sure that we had this program up and running. It's super cool. It's a purchase. It leads into Facebook, creates a virtual studio for you, allows you to see people's comments easily, lets us use our computer instead of our phones, which gives me a better view for everybody. It should be a whole lot more seamless. It also means if someone wants to join us and do some kind of joint program with us, we can do that because we can have up to 10 people join us on this program now, the way this is set up. How cool is that? All the things that you can't do with regular Facebook Live, you can do on this one. And it plugs right in. That's what it's called, a plug-in. Thanks. Takes me a while to get all of that. We can even put videos on here and run them while we sit silently by the side and run them. So this is giving us a lot more of a technological bump. And we'll be able to put a banner on the bottom that says, please, please, please give us comments. Tell us things you want to talk about. Tell us what you don't want us to talk about if there's any of that stuff going on. Because right now, the news is covering all the stuff. And I got to say, the news is causing some triggers for some of my people right now. I have a lot of clients who have been impacted by COVID losses in their loved ones, in their caseloads for therapists, in their congregations for ministers, in schools for teachers. Before the school year started, I was hired by a school district or two to come in and prepare the mental health staff and the office staff for supporting kids virtually who were experiencing COVID stuff. And there was so much that nobody had thought about. Things like COVID is going to cause kids to change schools. And we need to be prepared to have them join classrooms and join services on campuses that aren't even open in some areas. I know some of you join us from areas where the schools are open, and that's causing some concerns too. And I read an article last night about university towns and how those folks are struggling. And to be very honest, I live in a community in Riverside where we are in the university neighborhood. And typically at this time of year, we are inundated with college students who every year have to be taught how to behave themselves. It seems like their parents kind of raise feral children who don't know rules, and they send them off to school and they rent them a house for an outrageous amount of money and then say, go and party there. We don't want you at home. Party at school. And so we spend the better part of 6 to 10 weeks having to call out law enforcement to get these kids to behave themselves and code enforcement to teach them how to take out the trash. Just silly stuff that if you're pretending to adult, you should be able to do. And we haven't had that because our university is closed. There are 900 students on a campus of 27,000. There's only part of one dorm open, and we have literally dozens of dorms now. But at the University of Georgia and some of those other colleges now, they've got students coming back and walking into the downtown, and there are football games this weekend. And the locals in the community are being all tangled up in trying to prevent themselves from getting sick because the kids don't seem to have a whole lot of, I don't know, I don't want to say they're not respectful, but they're certainly not showing respect for the virus and for the people that live in that community and who are going to be there long after they finish school. So those folks are dealing with some losses, loss of their ability to go out in their community, loss of their ability to send their kids to school because they can't have their kids in school if the college kids are infecting people who might be coming in touch with their kids. So they're having to keep their kids home. And some of the comments were pretty pointed, I gotta say. I think I'm kind of glad I'm not in Georgia right now. And Dee Dee, you're in Florida, I think. So you've got a whole community opened up, and you've also got increasing numbers. And this is not all about COVID, don't get us wrong, but we started it because COVID losses were mounting. And because in general, people in the United States and elsewhere don't talk about grief and loss and don't know how to be humorous about it either. And they don't know how to balance being able to share the memories and remember their loved ones and remember people that they've lost, and to include in some of those memories the funny things, the humorous things, the parts that, as Deb says, you should remember, because when you're remembering people, if you remember what made them laugh, you remember the essence of who they were. You remember when someone dies, what made them important to you and what made them find humor in an everyday moment. And those are the things you remember about folks. I'm getting together with some of my girlfriends, not this weekend, but next weekend, and we are doing all of the safety. And some of the girlfriends are not coming because they don't feel safe, but we're going to enter through a side yard. We're going to be at well-spaced tables, and we're going to make succulent pumpkins because several of the people in our group are succulent fanatics. And I'm going to go and pretend to be a succulent fanatic because I'm not, but they're pretty. So I have little sugar pumpkins being delivered today because I don't go to the grocery store either anymore. And we're going to fill them up with succulents, and we're going to hot glue gun things in. And apparently these things are going to last all the way through Halloween. Feels kind of like we're going to be murdering some succulent cuttings in order to be making cute pumpkins, but I think we can actually plant them afterward in the yards of people who like succulents. That being said, what I'm going to remember, if I happen to be a surviving member of the girlfriends, at some point, I'm going to remember the succulent people in our group. And the fact that when we got together for lunches before and hopefully after COVID, if there's going to be an after, that we exchanged purses. Yeah, to kill a succulent, you're right. We exchanged purses. We exchanged books. We recycled stuff between us. We recycled our kids' clothing between us when they were younger. And we killed succulents together. We will be the Succulent Murderer Club. I think I'm okay with that. It's better than some other kinds of murder. We kept the pets alive. That was important. And I'll remember that Hai Ping ran an actual Ironman in Maryland with a boot on. Because Hai Ping is a little bit, well, we call her crazy, but she calls herself that, and she's a good crazy. And Hai Ping, when she came, when my first wife was dying, Linda was in our living room in our old home, and she wanted her hospital bed to be in the living room for that last week of life because she wanted to be able to see everybody who came. She was an emergency room nurse. She was a jail nurse. She was an extrovert. She loved talking to people. even though she told everyone she was shy. She was not shy. She was not shy, not at all. She tap danced and she did dance on television as a small person. And she was a nurse. You can't be super shy when you're an ER nurse because you're touching people in all kinds of places that you can't be shy about, right? Anyway, she wanted to be in the living room. So she was in the living room. People were coming and going. I'd made sure we had comfortable furniture. In fact, I changed out the furniture that week because when someone is going to die, you need to be comfortable if you're not going to. I mean, truly, you need to have a comfortable place to sit. The chair needs to be up high enough so that when you're reaching over a hospital bed, not through the bars, but you drop the bars, you're raising your hand over the bed to hold hands or to hug someone. You want to make sure you're not wrenching your back. And I remembered that back wrenching moment when my grandmother was in the hospital and dying. And I wasn't going to do that again. So we hopped on Craigslist and we bought some furniture because back in the day there was Craigslist. There wasn't Facebook Marketplace. And we went out with a pickup and picked up some furniture so that there would be long couches that we could sleep on, collapse on, hang out with. Linda was perfectly aware of what we were doing because she was dying of pulmonary fibrosis. So her brain worked perfectly fine, except for the morphine, which made her a little funny. And we pulled the couches up around her so we could hang out with her. And then Hai Ping walked in one day. And Hai Ping, excuse me, I was up late watching the news last night. Can you tell? Hai Ping is someone who, when she walks in, she's a presence. In fact, most of my girlfriends are. But Hai Ping and Wendy are the two biggest presences in terms of, hello, I'm here world. And so she did that, hello, she's here world thing. And one of our hospice nurses was there. Not the one who would become my second wife, but one of our other ones, Cheryl. And Cheryl was older than I am even now. And she was all lace and pearls. And she even hot glue gunned her tennis shoes and put lace and pearls on them. Like, can you get the whole image? You know, the flowers that she put the lace around and hot glue gunned. And yeah, that was Cheryl. And Cheryl was very proud of the fact that she, as she should be, that she was a certified hospice nurse and a certified pain management nurse. And those are very big certifications. I have lots of friends who have them. But she took it super seriously and you didn't challenge her. Oh my God, right? As a social worker, I couldn't say Tylenol without her like, oh no, you don't know. So Hai Ping walked in. Hello, world. Cheryl's prim and proper with her little glue-gunned tennis shoes on, and she's writing new orders because Linda is sliding downhill rapidly. And Linda's questioning her because Linda's a nurse. And that's rattling Cheryl. And then in comes HP. And she looks at Cheryl and says, are you the nurse? And Cheryl said, of course I am. You know, here's my stethoscope. That should prove I'm the nurse. And she said, we want Linda to have all the drugs. Give her all the drugs. Give her all the good drugs. She needs the drugs. We want her to have the drugs. And where's the Cabernet? We need some Cabernet in here too. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning. Now that week, I got to say, there might have been Cabernet at 10 o'clock in the morning. All bets are off. But we hadn't done that yet. And Cheryl got all fatoutzed and all flustered and started writing and writing and writing. By the time she got done with Hai Ping rattling her about, give her the good drugs, you don't have enough on board. When Casper arrived an hour later as the hospice nurse who was going to spend the day there, she had to call and rewrite all the orders and get all new orders from the doctor because Cheryl's orders they went sideways and they went here. And you could almost see Hai Ping rattling her with her sense of humor. But it made Linda laugh. It absolutely made Linda laugh. Those two connected like that. And if you ask HP about her memories of Linda, what she'll say is, Linda and she had a sense of humor that was the same. They shared that love of being just outrageous at times and being able to laugh at the everyday and being able to laugh at the stuff that included someone dying. And that was something that I remembered at the funeral. And I brought up Pai Ping walking in and saying all the drugs. And Cheryl was in the back of the church, and I could see her going, and it made me laugh more, because you should be able to laugh when people are sick or dying. You should be able to bring in that sense of humor. Linda was doing it too. She knew that we had double indemnity on our life insurance, which, if you don't know, means if you die of an accident or someone murders you, then your policy doubles in value. And so she kept telling Cheryl in particular, she always brought it up in front of Cheryl to tell all the rest of us, now remember, when I stopped breathing the last time, you put me on my motorcycle, because she had a Spider, so she knew it wouldn't fall over, because a Spider bike has 2 wheels in the front, 1 in the back, and it actually drives like a car. And she said, you put me on there, you strap me on, and you run me into the tree across the street, because that way Jill gets double. I want Jilly to have double. She's put up with a lot from me the last few months. And everyone in the room could laugh about that. Everyone but poor Cheryl. Cheryl was like, oh, we can't do that. We notify the coroner. We blah, 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 blah. And I was like, chill out, chickie. Mm-mm. It's just us. We're just having fun. We know she's going to die. She knows she's going to die. We're at least going to have some fun with it. For God's sakes, she's dying. And Cheryl got ribbed away a little bit. Casper got her initiation into our family in large part during that week, because she saw not just Linda, who she spent all her time with, not me, who she spent a little bit of time with, not Carrie, that she spent more time with. She saw all the people, and she saw us at our best and at our worst, and in our jammies and in our bed hair, and when we'd had too many Mai Tais at the end of the day, because we spent that week sharing all the fun that was Linda. Linda wrote her own obituary. Girlfriend Wendy was roped in for that. And we planned her funeral together. And then we kept having to call the church and put the funeral off, because she kept going longer than she really should have been able to. She had pulmonary fibrosis, and she had about 3% of her lung tissue left, which is not a lot. That's this tiny little corner up here, which is the one that was left. But she had so much morphine, she couldn't tell. She wasn't struggling, which was the beautiful part about having hospice and understanding the dying process and understanding what those drugs can do. Oh, yay! Deb is here. You should be able to join in, Deb, by adding yourself into the studio. And you should have gotten your invitation to join the studio. But let me invite you again on Messenger. And that should get you to StreamYard. And that should get you in. And if that is not the case, then we got trouble. But you should be here. Show? Oh, look, I can make you show up. Ooh. I can show Dee Dee's comments. Deb, you should be able to come in here now, because you're on here. There you are. Add to stream. Yay!
Oh my goodness.
Make sure your mic is on.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I'm not hearing. Wait, there. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Is this cool? Do you like our new setup?
I do.
This is how it'll be.
Oh, there is a delay. Do you hear the delay? Yes. Oh my gosh, can you?
I can hear you. Are you seeing the comments on the screen?
There is a delay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I can hear you perfectly. Can you see the comment on the screen?
It's so much better than chopped off heads.
We have a full screen. Yeah, Dee Dee doesn't hear a delay. And I don't either.
Oh, good. There's no delay on the other side?
Nope.
Wow.
We're good. We have a program. We can do this now. I'm so excited. By next week, we'll have the banner running that says, this is how we need you to post some comments and some things you want to talk about. So we can invite people to put things in there. And we can do a shared screen. So if we want to put up like a meme or a video, we can do that with this. And we can have up to 10 people.
The delay, I have to say this, the delay, I'm hearing about a 5-second delay, and so I get all these words coming at me. I know
Do you
you're
have
not
earphones?
I could put on,
Do that.
Can you hold on and just look at my house?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to look at your house. You too, right, Dee Dee? I love all the woodwork. I would like that. Now, I wish I could see what her pillow said. I would love all that woodwork. We don't have any woodwork in our house except really old stuff.
Daryl made this house, made this room.
Wow.
So I'm going to turn this around so you can see everything.
Wow. Oh my God, look at that cat tree. And a fireplace. Oh, that is beautiful. Wow. Skylights? Oh, we like your house. We vote.
You're all invited.
We're coming to Wisconsin. We're coming to Illinois.
I'm ready. I got plenty of room.
Are you close to Deerfield by any chance?
What's
Deerfield? Are you close to there?
To where?
Deerfield.
Oh, 2 hours away.
Okay, I've got a friend who is a
When are
CEO
you coming?
with. I have a friend who's a CEO with the sandwich shop, not Subway, the other one. And he's got probably 25 shops he's responsible for, and he's in Deerfield today. Wow, that's a tangle. There we go. Plugging in. Oh, we're plugging her in. Yay, plug is good. Right, Dee Dee, when you do it online, you got to have the headphones or the earplugs. It makes it so much better.
Oh, that's so much better.
That's it. When you do one of these, you got to have the phones in. And it's better to have plugged in ones than it is to have Bluetooth ones, because Bluetooth can cause a delay too.
Oh my God, that is so much better. Thank you.
There you go. And it doesn't, your sound is better. Dee Dee's right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for now, this is good. I'll fix this later.
Yes. Yay.
And I'm going to turn the sound down.
Okay.
Wait, my sound. I'm going to turn that down. And so now I can just hear you.
Ooh. Are you there?
Oh, maybe not. Wait.
Now?
I'm going to go get those other kinds of headphones sometime.
Yeah. I like these. These are fabulous.
For today, they'll be okay.
Yes,
Did you
they will be.
happen to see my program?
I tried. I was feeling so bad that day. I fell asleep.
You can do the other, you
They've got
could
it
just
recorded.
replay it.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be watching. Do you want to talk about that? Because people don't, I know Dee Dee doesn't know about it.
I'm going to hold these in a little bit better, but it's still a little delay. I'll figure that part out. Don't worry about that.
Okay, so tell us about the AATH conference.
I decided to go all out, and I did, sorry, the delay is still weird. It's still weird. I so apologize. So here you go. The program has to do with, I'm dying to tell you about humor, grace, and grief. Now I know how the voices in my head feel. Let me see if I can do something here. This is so uncomfortable with it coming back and forth. Hang on one second. Camera, mic, mute. If I mute me, what happens?
You won't hear us.
Oh.
You'll have to lip read. It'll be a little weird, but then by next week we'll get you a new headset, and you'll be all set. Are you on your phone or your computer?
I am at my computer.
Okay, yeah. So we just need to get you a good headset. We'll get one sent out.
You tell me. Well, you could just tell me, and I can just order one.
Okay.
But if you,
I use the Bose one. There are lots of them. I use the Bose one because I have an external microphone that plugs into my computer. You can also get headphones that actually have the mic built in. It just got a little wand that comes forward. Either way. Because
I'm still hearing about the Bose one. That's the thing. I wonder, is there something, Dee Dee, or someone that I can touch or do something different? Is there anything I can do?
I don't think so. Oh, Dee's got the pink ones. I looked at those. You've got a mic on that set you've got. Doesn't that have a mic set into it?
It does not have a mic.
Wait, what's that thing right there? Right on the side. Go further up.
No, I think that's not a mic.
Oh, okay. Then I think we're kind of stuck until we get you a new headset.
Okay. That I can get on Amazon, and it'll be here in a couple days. Just tell me which one to get, and I should be fine.
Okay.
On Sunday, not on Sunday. So the name of the thing was
Just ignore it. We don't hear it.
I know. So I am really hearing two full conversations. I know. So the bottom line is, I did this thing for AATH. I was so nervous about it, just incredibly nervous. And what I did is I went for broke. I talked about death etiquette. I talked about, people don't use this. I talked about organic humor versus inorganic humor. Organic humor is something that arises up that is just wonderful and really adds love and support to the grieving or the afflicted, whatever the case is. And then inorganic is like that jarring kind of joke that you do when you feel so uncomfortable. You go, I have to tell you a joke. And it's just inappropriate timing. Does that make sense? And then the next part is I decided when I say go for broke, I talked about humor with dead people. When you hear their voices and you like are part of a memory, and people don't talk about when I'm going to take these off, and then if you say something, I'll just nod to me, and this makes it easier. All right, so what happened was I talked to Jeff Atkins, and he is going to be doing more things with when you hear those loving voices inside of your head, outside of your head, that have to do with the bereaved. People think you're crazy, and you're not crazy. This is normal, right? Yeah. And what I decided with all my peers is to talk about what Jeff and I had talked about. And the humor that makes you feel still connected to your loved one. Maybe I told you the story before about the green rug with my mom. Did I tell you that story?
Yes.
Okay, I did. And just to tell everybody, my mom really wanted, so I threw out this rug after about 5 years of having it. And I very clearly could hear my mother say, why'd you throw the rug out? And in Yiddish, let's just say she was hocking me a chinik in my head about how many times I should keep this rug. And finally, in my head, I said to her, hey, if you wanted that rug so bad, you shouldn't have died. You could still have that rug, you know. But just the thought of communicating like that with her really made me feel better. And then I come downstairs, the rug is out of the garbage on our step, and it freaked me out. I asked Daryl, where'd you get this rug? Why'd you take it out of the garbage? And I assumed he did. And he says, what? I mean, he grew up Baptist. Why would he talk this way? What? It's a good rug. So he's imitating my mother. And look at the story I have to tell. I mean, she's been dead 20-something years. This is great. And that's what we want people to feel more comfortable having those loved ones. They are dead. And you will not see or be around their physical presence, but you can be involved with them at another level. It doesn't mean you can't talk to them. It doesn't mean you don't hear them. It doesn't mean that you don't feel them. And as I was doing research, all the senses are involved in being with dead people. I mean, there's no other way to say that. I felt really bad when people said my grandfather was crazy when my dad had died in 1970. And so my dad was 39. So his dad, I mean, it's horrible to have to bury your child. So anyway, people thought my grandfather was crazy talking to my dad, and he was not. But they thought he was. So anyway, I hope some of that made sense. If I was more tuned in with this and this, I would be able to. Finally, I just took the earpiece out so I didn't hear the reverberation. So that is another thing that I talked about in my presentation. And I'm talking to scientists. I'm talking to neuroplasticity people. I'm talking to maybe some people that weren't facing death and all those things. I advertised your book. I advertised Alan Klein. Jill Price just wrote a wonderful book. Was it Jill Price? Is that the person you're presenting with? Yeah. No, Deb Price. Deb Price. And her brand new book. I mean, Alan Klein. Oh my gosh. He has probably one of the most important books to me on this subject is The Courage to Laugh by Alan Klein. Great book. And he talks about when his wife died. And wow, just wow. That's all I got to say. Yeah, just wow. There you go. I'm going to listen so you can talk.
I'm putting a quote up right now. Keep talking.
Oh, okay. Good. The other part of this program was, as I sort of alluded to before, I redefined humor as organic and inorganic. We have all these other definitions of humor, but I think when it bubbles up sort of spontaneously, it just sort of comes out of your mouth. It's not pre-planned. I have to tell a joke here, especially when people are going through some sort of grieving process. And I didn't tune in until later, and I don't know if you spoke about this is, I don't know what the actual awareness is called, but when you have an unborn child that has unborn live child that has died. What's the name of this month? I forget, but I know several. Chrissy Teigen,
right,
just lost her child, in utero child, died. Maybe nobody's saying exactly how old the child was, how many weeks along. Let's say it was between around 12 to 16 weeks. And I think one of the main things that people say that I think is inappropriate is, oh, don't worry, you have 2 more living children. I'm like, seriously?
You can't replace.
Why would you say that?
They're not interchangeable.
Wrong. Etiquette. Etiquette is anything but saying something similar, or God needed another angel. You know, it's one thing if the grieving say that.
Mm-hmm.
They're making sense in their way. It's not about how you need to make sense. Go tell somebody else that so they can say, if they don't like you, they might go, uh-huh. Or if they do like you, they'll go, that's not the most appropriate thing to say to somebody.
Yep.
So, and we have people in our family whose child died, unborn child. So,
you know, I've had
my
a
heart
couple
just
of
goes
new.
out to those people.
I've had a couple new grief clients come on in the last few weeks, and not to breach anything they said in particular, but one has had every kind of loss possible, including a child loss and a spouse and a parent, and you know, on and on. And one of the first things this client said to me was, "Do you know all the stupid stuff people say to you? And I've got it categorized now. There's stuff they said when my child died and when this and that." She said, "I know they mean to be saying the right thing, but I wish they would just shut up." I said, "You are speaking my language. We're going to work well together."
And as support for when they say, do you know how much stupid stuff people say? I went, well, guess what? It's still illegal in all 50 states to assault them. So go ahead and rant on about dumbness. Right. Same thing with when you're widowed. Well, you had so many good years, or you're young, you'll find somebody else.
Or
I'm
you
going to
were
have a
only
seizure
married a
now.
few years. It shouldn't hurt that much. You didn't have that many years together. You should be fine.
Yeah, yeah. It just,
I heard both.
yeah,
Always
yeah.
from well-meaning people. Yeah.
Another fact of grieving, I know this is a random thing, but what I noticed is because there's these other family members and friends that in this case, their husband just died. I am experiencing what they talk about in books, not that it's catching, but all of a sudden you start thinking of, I'm going to use this, the mortality of your relationship. And the other day I woke up thinking, and I said, I'm thinking you're going to die before me, which is pretty unlikely. But, I'm just like, oh my God, I know. Oh, I like what Dee Dee says. You are young. And then I brace myself for stupid to come out next. I'm so glad we can use the word stupid on this show.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, that's why I went for etiquette. I talked about the ring theory. That's in that talk. I went for broke. I don't think I've ever took so many risks in I'm dying to tell you about grief, grace, and humor. And the other thing, I defined grace differently. I definitely did not want any kind of religious term. I wanted to describe grace as sort of an ease and a movement. And one of my best friends, when her father died, I still remember her face, and her father was young, and she needed to disconnect the machine or whatever they call it, letting it go. And when I saw her at the funeral, I saw her face and the way she was, and the only word that came to mind was grace. She had a certain grace about her in this time, a certain fluid motion that really impressed that picture on me. Like my grandfather, when my dad died, yes, Dee Dee, that's great. Grace is love in the moment. It is. There's a certain, his face of sadness, I never forgot. And my friend Judy, I never forgot. And I've told her this recently, that grace, composure, not that falling apart is a bad thing, but there's a certain grace that people have in their either dying moments or with their loved one or someone while they're supporting someone who is dying. There's even sort of a grace in humor when it almost comes out. I'm reminded of the quote by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay. And the quote is something like, when, I don't remember the first part, when would you be happy that there's enough women on the Supreme Court? And very gracefully, but with a little twist, she said, when there's 9. And you can have that same kind of grace in a death and dying situation. You can just sort of nod your head and say, many people know I buried my mom in a clown costume, blah, 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 blah. But when I said to my mom, do you want, as she's dying, do you want me to put you, bury you in the costume without the hoop? Because the one with the hoop, you're afraid you'll look fat. And my mom's grace was this. She goes, whatever, surprise me. And that took a certain amount of grace.
Yes, it did.
Just a little less is more in the movement of grief. I'm not, like I said, I've seen many people fall apart. But what's so important is there's a certain movement and a way you say it. Anyway, that was something else I redefined. Has nothing to do with God and God giving you this, and that now his grace is upon you. Why wasn't the grace upon you when that person was dying? Many people ask later on.
Right.
So
why did they have to die in the first place? Is the other question.
Say that other question.
The other piece that comes up for people in that context is, well, then why did they have to die in the first place? If
right,
a loving faith figure can provide grace, why did we have to have this? And
exactly.
Yeah. There's a certain, and there has to be some humor in those moments, and that is part of the grace. When I was cremating both of my spouses, we have a local cemetery here that's old and it's sweet and has all the historic markers, and they have a beautiful old mausoleum, and then the crematory equipment is in the back, the retorts, which is what they're called. And I freaked him out a little bit because this is before they had witnessed cremations. I said, I need to be in the cemetery while this is happening. I don't want to be in with the retorts. I don't need that image. I've seen it enough times. It's not who I want to be. I just need to kind of feel like I have completed the whole cycle. I've been there all the way through our relationship, through their death, and now I'm here while they're being cremated. I can watch the smoke go up the chimney, and then I can really feel like I have finished. And so it freaked out John, who was the director of the cemetery at that point. And he didn't quite know what to say. And he finally said, well, Linda always said she wanted to lose some weight. And cremation is the fastest diet you'll ever have. And in that moment, it wasn't forced. It was just part of who he was and part of the work he does. And it worked well. Yep.
I actually really love that image, Jill, because how many times when we let go of something do we burn it? Mm-hmm. And then we say that it's off to spirit. I mean, right. This is across tons of cultures. So
right. I sat in the cemetery, and lots of people put little benches now in memorials. So I sat under a big old tree, under a pine tree, across a little street, not very big, and it's a very quiet area, and it's beneath a mountain we have in Riverside called Mount Rubidoux, which everyone walks on. So it's kind of a public-private space. And I was right across from the mausoleum, and when they took her in, they signaled me, and I could see the first bit of smoke go up, and I held the dog, and I just sat there. And 4 years later, I did the same thing for my second wife, same dog, same bench, just needed to be there. And once it was over, I left. No freaking out, no, taking over the place. I just needed to finish, and that was my completion moment. Not acceptance, not closure.
Not closure, but right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful scene.
Yeah. It doesn't hold sadness for me. It holds peace for me.
Yes, because really it's about the person left behind.
Yeah.
How do they, during dying and in death, memories are still being created.
Yes.
So what going back to this month with the unborn child, one of the things that was so touching in the Chrissy Teigen is watching her mom hold the child, kiss the child, to be able to still have that memory,
Right.
so that you can let go.
Right.
And, one of the reasons I'm probably in this death education, also comes from, when my dad died, because of my mom's own fears. Not only did I never got to see him. He walked out the door and that was it. And then I didn't get to see see him in the casket. I mean, there was nothing traumatic. I mean, he had a heart attack or whatever they called it. And so my 14-year-old mind kept wondering, what does he look like?
Right. Which is
so
why
I would have these dreams.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Which is why kids need to be allowed to decide for themselves if they want to be present and if they want to approach or if they don't want to approach. And they need to be given some space without all the eyeballs on them to be able to do that. Not in front of the whole church or the whole mortuary. When I worked hospice in the South, we would have, at the end of the service, there was a formal part of the service called the final look. And the funeral director would ask the entire family to stand, and everyone would have to come in and literally kiss the dead person goodbye and then watch the casket being closed. And all I could think of was, okay, this is cultural, I can do this, but it was traumatic to watch because those were kids I'd worked with as they prepared for their loved one to die. And they knew they were dead and they'd said goodbye. They'd been to the visitation. They did not need, and they didn't need the sound of the casket closing either. That can be locked in the back or at the cemetery, out of view.
Right.
But that was part of that tradition in that part of the country. But my goodness, I think kids should be allowed to be given that space, but not with the eyeballs. Because they don't want to watch.
I gave, the other day, I actually texted her, my stepdaughter, bonus daughter. She was talking about the cats, and they're old. They've both got medication will barely contain what's going to happen. And to tell the truth, for her, $5,000 for both the cats for 1 month, that's a huge chunk of money. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of different stuff going on with the cats. So the bottom line is she started to prepare the kids and saying, they're old. And then you have to ask, she said this, quality of life versus us keeping them alive because we want to. But the way I wrote her, I said, good job. I am really proud of you. And when their great grandmother died, she invited them. She had long talks with them before. And then she invited them up to the casket if they wanted to or not. And so the kids, when I'm driving them home, I was like sort of happy to hear this argument. Great grandma M died because of her brain. There was something in her brain and it exploded. No, it was her heart. And then this happened. And so they're arguing about the manner of death.
Cause of death.
So of the death. So they're talking about the death, right? Uh-huh. And I'm like, so let me tell you how the body works, I said to both of them. Technically, you're both right. And so they're like, really? And what a blessing.
Right.
To hear what they said that I never got. I mean, I just, when someone died in our family, my parents sent me away because I asked too many questions and they were uncomfortable as it was. So, which now everybody knows why I am this weird.
Same reason I am, burying all those rabbits and gerbils and the things that our cats killed. And yeah, Henny Penny that the coyote got.
Oh,
all those years ago.
Where'd my hamster go? I said to my dad. And he said, I put him away. There's no words. You know, it's like, I always wondered. No wonder I do what I do.
Right?
No wonder I talk to dead people.
Before I had surgery, they, you do all your advance directives, and it had been a long time. So I grabbed the Kaiser Hospital has a whole booklet for you to do, which is clearly designed to help people say, I do not want heroic measures. It has a spot to define what quality of life is. What would your favorite day be? What would, a good quality be versus what would bad quality? It's got all of that. And, it's the night before surgery and I'm feeling a little funny. And so I used my Jill sense of humor and I interjected all of it. It allowed you to do funeral planning. And I truly am more on the cremation side, but I thought, well, this is my last chance if I don't come out of this one. So I said, really, I think it'd be nice to have a full visitation. I want Stacy to make sure I lose about 50 pounds. And then I want all the right makeup sprayed on. I want to make sure I look like I've got a good tan. Make sure you use all the tapes so that the girls look like they're bigger than they are. And because that's what you use duct tape for. And then I want you to make sure that I have the casket with the secret drawer, because I want you to put some cool stuff in there. But then I don't want to be buried. I want to be cremated. So I know it's a $12,000 casket. Burn it. It's going with me. And I had a great time with it. I really did. What's my best kind of day? I would really, if I'm going to be gone, make sure somebody puts some Cabernet in that drip at the last minute. I'm taking communion wine with me, but it has to be good. Right? Because you should have some fun with that. And I thought, if I really don't make it out, they will laugh. And my true essence will be coming through. And they will get to laugh at a moment that's terrible. Right?
Oh, no. You got to have some fun. Well, some people don't want to have fun. Deb Price's book, she lays it out like nobody's business. You have a copy of her book. And yes. I don't think my friends, let's see how many people unfriend me in real life, not on Facebook, when I start giving them books about, okay, it's time to plan your death. What do you got?
Right?
I'm giving you a copy of this new book.
Right? I love her book, by the way.
Say again?
I love her book. I'm reading through it now so I can reference it while we're presenting in
good.
Yeah.
I'm going to get new headphones.
Okay.
I will get those ASAP. Just tell me the kind to get and I'll get them. Okay. Just write me in. Bose. Okay. Yeah. Are they recording ones or?
They can be used for anything. They do not have a mic on them.
Good.
So there are some that have mics. If you get one without a mic, then you'll need a mic that you plug into your computer. And those are cheap. They're like $25 because that way you've got really good no delay recording value and sound. And it's best to have one that's got like a screen over it.
So that's a recording mic?
Uh-huh. There's a mic and there's a screen. It's on Amazon.
And we can do this afterwards. Just send me the info and I'll get it this week.
Yeah, they're super simple and it just clips on my table because it's got it's like a swing arm lamp. But there are also some that are table ones that are just as fine, and they run not a lot of money. These things were expensive little creatures, but I use them all day, every day.
Yeah, I need those for my stuff. So,
but they're good for travel too, and they come with a case. So it's a bonus.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Deb. This is our new system. We will have the banner worked out. And Deb, I'm going to send you the password to it if I can figure out what it was so that you can get on and play with it too.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.